Hi, this is technically my first video, which is awkward because, unlike normal people who introduce themselves through their favorite hobbies and favorite colors, here I am letting you know how my first almost relationship gave me an accidental personality crisis. This is me. Yeah. So, for the context, I've always been a very talkative person. I like people. I like observing them, poking into their little brains and seeing how they see the world, how they think of the world. Not in a creepy way, okay? Just, I like psychology in real life. So I talk. Boys, girls, mentors, teachers, random classmates, random people, anyone, literally anyone who's interesting. And how do you find that? By talking. So, for the longest time, that worked in my favor. People used to describe me as chill, fun, and very easy to talk to. I was the girl who had opinions on everything. I would literally jump into any conversation and make it chaotic, but entertaining. And I had this silent understanding that everyone around me thinks that, okay, she's a little bit of a crackhead, she's bold, okay, but that's her personality. That's it. At least this is what I thought everyone understood. So, but that was not the case. Why? Because for the first time in my life, I started getting romantically involved with someone. And when I say involved, I don't mean officially labeling it as dating. No, not that. It was a very new, undefined, confusion like state. Basically, getting to know each other, seeing each other kind of state. Where you're not sure what's happening, but you can tell something is happening. And that's when things started changing in ways I did not notice at all. They were so boggling. Why? I was still the same person, okay? I was still talking to everyone, still joking, laughing, being loud, curious, very weird and unhinged. Perfect. Nothing about my behavior actually changed. But somehow, the people around me changed. They started reacting in very different ways. Suddenly, the same traits that were used to make me fun started getting described as too friendly. My confidence started getting interpreted as attention seeking behavior. And I remember being so confused because I didn't do anything, literally anything different. I was the same person, but just because now that I'm getting associated with a guy, things changed. Their perceptions changed. And the weirdest part, people didn't come to me with their opinions. No, they went to him. That's right. They would tell him things like, "You should keep an eye on this girl. She is red flag." And that was not a joking way, not at all. And I found about this eventually, okay, after some time. And I had this genuine moment like, wait, since when did I become someone's responsibility to manage? When did I become someone else's property? And when did this guy become my social guardian? It felt like in an overnight I had gone from being an individual to being monitored, like my personality had to be audited because now it was reflecting on someone else. And then there was a social choreography. What's that? Even weirder. Why? People started giving us couple space. Okay. You know that thing where you're talking in a group and suddenly everyone awkwardly leaves, disappears, so you can have this romantic couple moment? Yeah? Yeah. That started happening to us. The problem was, I never asked for any of that space. Half of the time, I didn't even want to be in that space. It was just awkward. And just because people decided that we were a thing, we were treated like we're some kind of untouchable, sealed romantic package. Why? Why? And at first, I laughed it off. I really did. Because I thought it was just harmless teasing. But then it started affecting how people saw me and how I saw myself. That's the worst part. Because all along these jokes came subtle judgments. If I talked to another guy the way I always do with my all my guy friends, people would give me looks. They would judge me. They would make comments like, "Oh, you're very social. Talking so much, huh?" In a very weird tone, and I started realizing that my morality, my loyalty, my entire character was being evaluated through a relationship that has not even formed. It's not even defined. And I would love to say that I ignored all that shit and I stayed confident like always, which 90% of the time I do, right? But that would be a lie because I actually started believing them. I would lie in bed, replaying all those moments like some CCTV footage in my head that, oh, wait, did I laugh too much in that moment? Did I flirt? Wait, while asking for someone's notes? Did I hold someone's hand too much? I started questioning things that I had done naturally for years and years, suddenly because they were being framed as suspicious. Yeah. And honestly, that's one of the most disturbing feelings ever. When you start doubting yourself and your own personality, your own existence, not because you changed, but because people changed the story around you. And at the same time, something else also started happening. Not just this. People, especially these relationship thing, okay, they started feeling that they're increasingly entitled to the information of my life. When I said I was busy, they wanted to know what I'm doing. If I'm on my a call with somebody, they wanted to know who I'm talking to. If I want to go somewhere, like for making this video, they wanted to know where exactly, what exactly are you going to say. Things became unnecessarily secretive. I was forced to be secretive instead of just letting me be private. And that's when I realized something about myself. I never actually enforced strong boundaries before. In fact, I used to overshare a lot of stuff to keep things smooth, drama free, entertaining, call it whatever. But for the first time, when I said, I don't feel like explaining myself, I just want some peace, nothing happened, okay? But people got so uncomfortable. And that's when it hits me that maybe they were never used to having any limits with how they can treat me. I never set any limits. And slowly, a very uncomfortable truth started settling in my mind. I had always believed that people respected me for who I am or how I act, right? But what they actually respected was a version of me that fit in their expectations. And the moment I stepped outside of it, even slightly, by being romantically involved, actually officially romantically a bit involved with someone, while still acting like an independent girl that I am, my independent own person, people started turning all this into suspicion. It honestly felt like my social value had downgraded. If I had gone as if I had gone from being an individual to being an accessory. My personality was no longer being judged on its own, but it was being judged based on how appropriate it was for someone in a relationship. And the funniest part is, through all of this, I didn't actually change. I was still the same person, still the same girl who talked too much, laughed too loudly, and made slightly inappropriate jokes at the worst time possible because that's really me. The only thing that changed was the lens through which people were watching me. That's what changed. Once I truly understood that, something in me shifted. Not a dramatic, cinematic way, okay? No crying, no confrontation. I still talk to these people. I still do. Still friendly. But it was quieter than that. I just stopped trying so hard to make my personality easy for everyone else to digest. Because I realized no matter how carefully I behaved, people were still going to create their own versions of me in their head that does not exist. And so, why exhaust myself trying to edit a script I was never even allowed to read? Right? That experience, my first romantic involvement, with all the confusion, all the social side effects, taught me something genuinely that I didn't know before. That a lot of rules around how women are expected to behave in relationships aren't actually meant to protect us or respect us. They are about making us easier to control, monitor, or judge. Now, I'm not saying that relationships are bad or everyone should get out of them and everyone is out there to get you. But what I am saying is that sometimes the biggest shock isn't the relationship itself, it's how quickly the world starts treating you differently because of it. So, yeah, that was my very first glamorous introduction to romance. That's how life decided to introduce it to me. No butterflies, no poetry, but social politics, unsolicited surveillance, and a full blown personality audit. And if there's one thing I took away from all this drama, is this that I would rather be called too much, too loud, too independent, too frivolous than shrinking myself to make other people feel comfortable in their little egos and compete with a version of me that just never existed. Anyway, that's me. Not a very good favorite color introduction, but probably a more honest one. Thank you.